Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to create a project for Pretty Pink Posh using a couple new items over at the Pretty Pink Posh shop. The first one here with the wreath in it is called Halloween Wreath. We're actually not going to use the wreath, but we are going to use the elements just below the wreath. And then I do have the Trick or Treat script die for our sentiment today. There's a lot of fun secondary, I want to call them, images in this stamp set. A witch's hat, there's a ghost, there's little Frankenstein, but I think we're going to use the candy today. We're going to start off by adding some candy, the sucker, both the candies, to an acrylic block, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. There's a piece of candy corn in there too. Now, for my project today, I'm only going to use the suckers or the lollipops, but when the images are small like this, I like to stamp extras. Might as well color them all at once. Makes it nice and optional if you want to put this on the inside of the card, or you change your mind and want to put it on the outside. At least I have them colored in and the options there. So I stamped 3 of the suckers, 2 of the round candies or the oblong candies, and then we're going to do 2 of the rectangle shaped ones, along with 3 candy corns. I'm going to zoom in, play a little music while I color, and then when I'm done coloring, I will catch you back. Okay, coloring is all done. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinating dies and die cut out each of my images. Sometimes when I have extra images like this too, I don't know if you guys do this, but I'll put them on top of my stamp set, just so they're color. I don't know if I should have showed you the package, but sometimes I like to do that too. But okay, those are all done, cut out. Now we're going to work on our background. I have 3 pieces of cardstock. We are going to take one of the dies in the Stitch Border 3 die set. This is a really nice die set. This is has a point right in the center, but I'm going to off center the point. You can see I'm lining up the left edge to the left side of the cardstock, so that point is more towards the right. We're going to go ahead and do that to all of our colored cardstock, and then we'll tape it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Trick or Treat script die. We're going to use the negative piece of this for our card today. So we're going to line it up in the center where we want it. Now I am going to end up trimming down my panels, so it is actually ends up being 3.5 inches wide. So this is more or less going a little bit towards the left on my white. Once I have everything die cut, I did go through my paper stash, and I found some gray and black stripe paper. What I'm going to end up doing is layer all of them together. I think that's going to create a real fun background. We're going to go ahead. I didn't trim my pattern paper just yet because I wanted to make sure that my lines were straight. We'll work on that in just a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive behind my Trick or Treat, and we're going to add a piece of acetate on the back side. Now I'm not creating a shaker, and if you have packaging from your stamp set, you could do the same thing. You just need something that you can put your negative pieces on to complete your sentiment. I like acetate, but it's because I have quite a bit of it actually. So I just trimmed down a small piece behind it. But I'm going to go ahead and add dots of glue where all the negative pieces that I need to add go, like in the O's and the R's and in the E and the A here. And then we'll just punch out those extra pieces from the positive Trick or Treat, and then we'll insert them right on top of the plastic. I like doing this because I end up popping up this panel And if I didn't put the acetate behind it, those little extra pieces would be lower than my trick-or-treat. So this is a nice way. It's almost like they're floating, like I said. So that is good to go. We'll save the positive for another project. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of layering. We're going to eventually add black cardstock behind here. So you want a piece of cardstock that's the width a little bit smaller. I would say maybe 3 1/4 inches wide to fit right behind your trick-or-treat. Now I'm going to end up putting the yellow next to the pattern paper, and I'm spacing it about 1/2 inch apart. Now I was worried about my cut line because originally this paper was diagonal stripes, and so I just wanted to make sure that my lines were straight when I trimmed it off. I didn't want them to be crooked. So that's why I waited to trim it to 3 1/2 inches. I'm going to go ahead and add my yellow, my orange, and then all my layers aren't lining up. No worries. Once that we have everything adhered, we're going to go ahead and use our paper trimmer just to even up those edges. I'm going to actually temporarily adhere my trick-or-treat on that orange. And this way we can run it through our paper trimmer all at once and get that straight edge that I was looking for. I'm going to go ahead and grab my trimmer, trim off this left side. I found it easier to put it on the 3 1/2 inch mark, hold it down, and I think I need to scoot it over just a little bit more. I love the way this border looks. I love offsetting it. And you know, this pattern would actually go good with any kind of borders that you have, guys. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and lift up my trick-or-treat. Actually, you know what, before we do that, let's add some tape behind our pattern paper and our yellow and orange cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to my card base. This way I know where to position it, and when I'm done popping up my trick-or-treat, it's already lined up. So that's going to go there, all lined nice and centered. Then we're going to flip over our trick-or-treat and bring in some foam squares. If you have foam tape, you can use foam tape, but we're going to pop this up here. I'm going to go ahead. I chose foam squares because they're just on hand and easier sometimes. Just add a few, remove the release paper, and then add our black cardstock right behind it. And if you could very well make this a shaker if you wanted to, guys, but the lines on the trick-or-treat are kind of thin, so what you put behind it would have to be super shiny for it to stand out. I'm going to go ahead and add my trick-or-treat so we have a little bit of dimension here, and then we're going to bring in our candies. Now I already added foam adhesive behind all of my candies, and I went ahead and stamped this little guy, stamped the spider in the stamp set. Since we're not going to use the other candies, just the suckers, I wanted something else on my card, and I thought the spider would be perfect because one, it's black and it kind of brings that bottom striped area up towards the top, but also because I want to add a little extra texture to my card. So I have some black twine. I'm adding it to my spider with the foam square. I'm going to remove the release paper. So now that I have a spider on a string, I'm going to add it just at the end of the T. Take that string and wrap it around and tuck it underneath my trick-or-treat panel there. We're going to trim off. My string was a little too long, so we're going to do a little tucking here. So I like textures and layers on my card, so the twine really does add something to it. And it looks really cute too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place all 3 of my suckers to the left of my card, kind of crisscrossing them a little bit. And I need a little glue under that very last one so it's stuck down to my card base. We're going to just put a little bit of glue. And today's card's pretty simple, but I just think it's so cute. Just going to hold it down for a few seconds. And then the candies, like I said, if you want to add them to the inside of your card or save them for another project or put them on the outside of your stamp package, you can do that as well. I know sometimes stamps are colored, and so having them colored in on the front of your package looks nice. Okay, next I'm taking my white gel pen and we're going to do a little highlighting over our suckers and the little spider. I just added a curved line over spiders, but for my suckers I just added some dots. I did add a few gems for a little added sparkle. These gems are the pearl white jewels over at Pretty Pink Posh, and I love the sparkle that it adds. But that's my project. I thank you so much for joining me, guys. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.